Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nur Ain Afza binti Mohd Fauzi. My metric number is 2017172. I will explain about introduction part. Poverty in Malaysia is a contentious topic these days. Poverty is a multi-layered societal problem in which all socio-economic disadvantages are interconnected. The first sustainable development goal linked with this topic is no poverty. The primary purpose of SDG 1 is to reduce by half the number of males, women, and children of all ages living in poverty in all of its aspects as defined by national standards. In Malaysia, poverty is explained on a financial or income basis. This notion divides poverty into two categories, which is absolute poverty and relative poverty. The poverty that is commonly referred to in Malaysia is absolute poverty because household income is compared to the poverty line income (PLI). If a household's monthly income is below the PLI, the household is classified as poor. Poverty eradication efforts in the future must be properly and extensively conceived and targeted in order for the poor to become a significant contributor to the development process. As a result, understanding the factors that can be contribute to poverty is crucial in order to reduce Malaysia's poverty rate. Therefore, poverty in Malaysia is caused by unemployment, income inequality, and limited access to education.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Nurul Arlina binti Rozfan Wahi with metric number 2018616 will be presenting on main idea 1, which is poverty due to unemployment. In today's worldwide environment, capable and competitive human capital resources are necessary in determining a country's performance. The key issues in a country's economic development are employment and unemployment rate. In short, if a country's unemployment rate is low, it is considered to have a sustainable growth economy. On the other hand, a high unemployment rate indicates a waste of human resources. However, due to Malaysia's high unemployment rate, generating large human capital resources is a difficult challenge. In general, unemployment can be categorized into three major aspects, which are physical, social, and economic aspects. Next, in Malaysia, there are several reasons that contribute to the high rate of unemployment among the elderly. To begin with, the root cause of unemployment are economic growth and social development, as Franco in 2013 stated that tariffs affect economic growth because it leads to discourage exports and create the situation of welfare loss. Besides that, unemployment is caused by a lack of education level. According to Borat in 2007, there is a shortage of highly educated people across many medium and low-income nations, resulting in significant unemployment rate. Following that, the growth in the number of foreign workers has increased Malaysia's unemployment rate from the late of 1990s to the present. As a result, the influence of immigrant employees has worsened the local human capital's ability to find jobs. Moreover, the COVID-19 pandemic has amplified Malaysia's unemployment rate, with more people suffering to find a permanent job. This can be shown by comparing the unemployment rate in Malaysia. As an overview, in January 2020, the unemployment rate was 3.2%, but there was a continuous increase until May 2020, when it reaches 5.3%. In addition to that, according to official statistics, nearly half of self-employed in about 1.43 million Malaysians lost their jobs during the first movement control order in 2020, and 90% of the remaining employees receive low wages. In a nutshell, we can observe that poverty in Malaysia is caused by unemployment issues. Therefore, some steps need to be taken to curb this problem. First, NGOs should organize re-employment programs and incentives. This method is more durable as it includes training, education, and services, but must be supported by financial assistance. Furthermore, the government should implement an unemployment insurance system, particularly for those industries that take longer to recover from economic downturns, such as retail and manufacturing. Thus, these solutions can be implemented to reduce poverty due to Malaysia's high unemployment rate.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Aina Ilyani binti Dalaiil, metric number 2019022. I will present on the main idea 2, namely poverty due to income inequality. Malaysia is a developing country that is known as an open upper middle income economy country. Nowadays, Malaysia puts a focus on the tertiary sector, also known as the service industry. In Malaysia, poverty resulting from income inequality is still a major problem. Citizens in urban areas have constant and reliable access to everyday basic requirements and services such as food, drink, education, and even internet access. On the other hand, those living in rural areas such as Kelantan, Sabah, and Sarawak endure poverty due to low income distribution. This is due to the fact that agriculture is the major source of revenue and jobs. The difficulties in generating enough food and agricultural products to sustain their lives will eventually lead to an increase in the urban population. There is an income gap between urban and rural households due to slower rural development. According to the 2017 Salaries and Wages Survey report, the average wage in rural areas was 2,040 ringgit compared to 3,038 ringgit in urban areas, according Department of Statistics Malaysia 2018. There are several key contributors to Malaysians' income inequality. The significant number of the urban poor is an outcome of the urbanization cycle, according Al-Hadari and Samad 2012. There are more urbanized states that have a greater median income per capita compared to rural states. In 2019, the household income survey by the Department of Statistics Malaysia reported that the average household income in urban areas is 8,635 ringgit per month compared to 5,004 ringgit for households in rural areas. Net income inequality is driven by the serious economic, political, and social discrimination that small ethnicities and indigenous people have experienced in the era of economic globalization. Increased poverty and income inequality will have a negative impact on economic growth. Abdul Ghani et al. 2017 pointed out that any rise in poverty and income inequality definitely affects economic growth. Good income distribution will boost economic growth because people with higher levels of well-being will spend more and consume more in the country. As an outcome, balancing income inequality is crucial to achieve Malaysia's economic stability and reduce the percentage of rural residents living in poverty. There should be national level formulas and mechanisms to limit or reduce the trend of migration to the city by opening up the more opportunities for economic activity in rural areas. Hence, the solutions can reduce poverty.
Now, I will explain main idea 3, which is a lack of education contributes to poverty in Malaysia. Poverty and education are intertwined and linked in terms of creating economic opportunities and minimizing socioeconomic disparities between urban and rural populations. This shows that people with a greater level of education have a better chance of obtaining work and are more productive economically to improve their lives. Education has a significant impact on incomes, which is allows a person to be more competitive, to have opportunities to earn a higher salary, and to be capable of delivering a lot of output to society as compared to people who are less educated. According to an analysis by the United Nations Development Programme and Malaysia's Economic Planning Unit in 2007, more than two-thirds of poor households have either no formal education or just up to the primary level. The poor are claimed to be less interested in acquiring academic skills and are unable to obtain high-paying jobs. This is due to the fact that today's jobs require someone who is extraordinarily capable, and skilled. As a result of this, Malaysia currently faces poverty issues, with an increasing number of people jobless or homeless due to a lack of education. There is some evidence of a lack of educational opportunities, especially among the poor in Malaysia. First of all, school performance is a challenge in Malaysia, especially in rural areas. There are still some underprivileged states, such as Sabah, where students must travel long distances to school. Furthermore, financial resources are a serious barrier for poor families in their attempts to get a better education. For instance, the cost of education is described not only by the absolute expense, but also by the ability of parents to pay for it. In other words, it is also affected by parental income and the number of school-age children they must support. Furthermore, the United Nations Children's Fund UNICEF states the majority of children in rural regions, such as indigenous communities in Malaysia, do not attend school despite reaching school age. The majority of them are without birth certificates. If a person does not have a birth certificate, it is extremely difficult to register for school and they have missed the opportunity to attend school. Next, to ensure that all students, particularly those from rural areas, receive an equal education, the government should prioritize the improvement of educational infrastructure. Furthermore, as educators are a vital component in instilling an interest in learning in rural students, the government should not overlook the provision of service to teachers. For example, better housing and school infrastructure should be prioritized in order to encourage more teachers to serve in rural areas and reduce students' absenteeism. In addition to that, providing substantial financial aid such as subsidies or scholarship to low-income students should remain a priority on the government agenda. This will help narrow the performance gap between rural and urban students. Higher education is one approach to building competitive individuals.
In general, Islam is regarded as an ethical system, which Islamic ethics serving as a guideline for every aspect of life. The Islamic approach of poverty reduction consists of three main sets of policies. The first set of policy, which known as positive measures in Islam, employ a variety of good strategies to reduce poverty, which include income growth, functional income distribution, and equal opportunity for all. Furthermore, Islamic law of economics also requires that preventive measures are implemented to guarantee that wealth is not centralized in a small section of society, such as control over ownership and malpractice prohibition. Next, the third set of anti-poverty methods in Islam, known as corrective measures, it promotes wealth transfers so that wealth does not become trapped among the wealthy only. This effort includes obligatory charity, zakah, recommended charity, sadaqah, and state responsibility, which is enforcements and basic needs. Addition to that, Allah has mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, O believers, whatever you have been given by God, spend from it. In the same surah, Allah further stated, those people who spend money in the way of God in a hidden or explicit manner will receive great reward from their Creator. Those Quranic verses clearly shows that Islam really encourages a sense of brotherhood and societal collective thinking in reducing poverty.
Alright, I will present the conclusion. To conclude, poverty in Malaysia is linked to a lack of job prospects, financial imbalance, and minimal opportunities for education. A lack of education and skills can lead a person to become underprivileged since no one will hire them as employees. They lack intellectual abilities and rely solely on technical capabilities. Next, one of the causes of poverty is a lack of career options. Many organizations use digital as a substitute for machinery. Many people are made unemployed as a result of this, particularly recent graduates. Besides, income inequality experienced by Malaysians in urban areas causes poverty. Therefore, to combat poverty requires acknowledging that freedom from poverty is a fundamental human right and that it is the responsibility of all Malaysians to ensure that Malaysians do not have to live in situations of absolute poverty. Plus, strategies and programs need to be implemented to balance the poverty development of urban and rural communities, such as introducing a less onerous financial program, expanding social services, such as providing affordable housing, conducting quality education with high technology, and expanding access to health.